The restaurant was buzzing with the soft hum of conversation, the clinking of glasses, and the aroma of roasted lamb and fresh bread. In one corner, at a private table reserved every Friday night, sat billionaire Victor Hayes, a man whose face appeared on magazine covers, whose name was whispered in boardrooms, and whose reputation for power and precision made people both admire and fear him. But that night, something was different. That he wasn't alone. Across from him sat a woman with gentle eyes and a quiet smile, his wife, Emma Hayes. Her presence seemed out of place among the glitter and grandeur. While Victor wore an Italian suit worth thousands, Emma wore a simple beige dress with no jewelry except her wedding band. She was calm, almost invisible to the crowd. Few knew who she really was, and even fewer knew what she was capable of. As the couple laughed softly over dessert, 3 men entered the restaurant. Their faces were hidden under caps and masks, their movements sharp and coordinated. They weren't there for dinner. Within seconds, chaos erupted. "Everyone down," one of the men shouted, pulling out a gun. Another stormed toward Victor's table. The third locked the doors. Screams filled the air as diners dropped to the floor. Waiters froze mid-step, plates crashing to the ground. Victor's instinct was to stand up, not out of bravery, but pride. Billionaires like him weren't used to being told what to do. "Sit down," one man barked, slamming Victor back into his chair. Victor clenched his jaw. His security detail was outside. He insisted on privacy during dinner. He was unprotected. "Please," Emma said softly, raising her hands, "don't hurt anyone." The man nearest her laughed. "Quiet, lady. This is between us and your rich husband." The leader pointed the gun directly at Victor. "We know who you are, Hayes. You ruined lives with your factories and your greed. Tonight, we take what's ours." Victor's mind raced. He'd faced business rivals, lawsuits, and betrayals, but nothing like this. His billions couldn't save him now. Emma, however, was watching carefully, not panicking, not pleading. Her breathing slowed, her eyes flicked from one attacker to another, assessing. Then one of the men grabbed her arm roughly. "Maybe we'll take your pretty wife too. Bet she's worth more than cash." That was the last mistake they made. Emma's hand moved faster than anyone could process. In a blur, she twisted the man's wrist, forcing him to drop his weapon, then slammed her elbow into his ribs. The sound of his grunt echoed across the restaurant. Before the second man could react, she swept her leg, sending him crashing to the floor. The third man hesitated, too long. Emma spun, grabbed his arm, and pressed a pressure point near his neck. He dropped the gun instantly, gasping for air. In less than 10 seconds, all 3 attackers were on the ground, groaning in pain, their weapons out of reach. Silence blanketed the restaurant. Everyone, Victor, the diners, even the trembling staff, just stared at her. The quiet, simple wife of a billionaire had just taken down 3 armed men, with her bare hands. Victor's eyes were wide. "Emma, what? How did you?" She looked at him calmly, brushing her hair back from her face. "They underestimated me." The police arrived minutes later, taking the men away. Reporters flooded the scene soon after, their cameras flashing as they shouted questions at Victor. But he wasn't listening. He was still staring at Emma, trying to reconcile the woman he thought he knew with the one who had just saved his life. Later, in the car, Victor finally broke the silence. You fought like someone trained for war. Who are you, Emma?" She looked out the window, her voice soft but steady. "Before I met you, I wasn't always this simple wife you think I am. I served in the special forces, medical and combat training. But when I left, I promised myself never to use those skills again unless it was absolutely necessary." Victor's chest tightened. For years, he'd viewed her as gentle, fragile, someone who needed his protection. He'd been wrong. "I didn't marry your money, Victor," she said quietly. "I married you because I saw a man who could be better, who could use his power for good." Her words struck deeper than any bullet could have. That night, as they reached their mansion, Victor couldn't sleep. The image of Emma, calm, powerful, fearless, kept replaying in his mind. He realized something he'd never seen before. For all his wealth and influence, he'd been the weaker one. In the following weeks, Victor changed. He began spending more time visiting the very communities his companies had once ignored, the struggling families, the underpaid workers, the small towns affected by his industries. Emma often went with him, quietly helping where she could. Together, they started the Hayes Foundation, focused on rebuilding lives and funding self-defense programs for women in vulnerable areas. It became news across the nation, the billionaire and his warrior wife. But beyond the headlines, something deeper had shifted. Victor no longer walked into a room expecting people to fear him. He walked in hoping to understand them. He saw the world not through the lens of control, but of compassion, a perspective Emma had lived by all along. One evening, months after the attack, they returned to that same restaurant. The staff greeted them with warm smiles. A framed newspaper article on the wall told the story: 3 men attacked a billionaire, but his wife saved them both. Victor laughed softly. They still got the headline wrong, he said. Emma tilted her head. What do you mean? He took her hand. You didn't just save me that night. You saved the man I was becoming, the one who thought money was power. You showed me real strength isn't about control, it's about courage, purpose, and heart. Emma smiled, her eyes glistening. And humility. Don't forget that one. They both laughed, the kind of laughter that only comes from pain turned into wisdom. A few tables away, a young waiter who had witnessed the attack months earlier approached them nervously. Mrs. Hayes, sir. I just wanted to say, that night changed my life. I started taking self-defense classes because of you, ma'am. Anne. I'm going back to school too. Emma's face lit up with pride. That's wonderful, she said. Always believe you're stronger than you think. As the waiter left, Victor turned to her, his voice soft. You've started something much bigger than you realize. Emma looked thoughtful. Maybe. But the world doesn't change from the top, Victor. It changes one person at a time. He nodded, realizing how true that was. That night, as they walked out hand in hand, a cool breeze brushed past, the kind that carries peace, not fear. For Victor Hayes, the billionaire once known for his iron will, the lesson was clear: money can buy comfort, but it can't buy courage. Power can build empires, but it can't build respect. Real strength, the kind that endures, often comes in the quietest forms: a kind word, a calm heart, and sometimes, a simple wife who knows exactly when to stand up and fight. And in that truth, Victor found something he'd been missing all his life: not wealth, not fame, but meaning, the kind of meaning that doesn't come from fortune, but from love, integrity, and the courage to become better.